The experience of watching Race to Witch Mountain is a lot like driving home from a 12-hour shift. You spend the majority of your time in a car, mildly sedated and distracted, and by the time it's all over you realize you have no f***ing clue what just happened. Race to Witch Mountain is a 2009 action movie directed by Andy Fickman, the same man that brought you timeless classics like She's the Man, The Game Plan, and Paul Blart Mall Cop 2! But don't even sweat it, because thankfully Witch Mountain was the highlight of his career. Aside from the shallow and often idiotic plot, the main word that comes to mind when thinking of this movie is generic.
What makes the explosions different in this movie is that they're blue.
And I don't want to say it's old Andy's fault, so instead I'll let Dwayne Johnson say it for me.
What makes Andy a unique fit and the right director for Witch Mountain? Because Spielberg wasn't available, Greengrass wasn't available, Woody Allen certainly wasn't available. List goes on and on.
But come on, it was just a joke.
Wow, he should pay me for that answer. That was great.
Or was it?
So the movie starts out with this literally 2.5-minute montage of VHS UFO footage and weird historical clips, one of which is apparently a real video of Ronald Reagan talking about aliens while addressing the 42nd session of the UN.
We were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Even though it is taken extremely out of context, I still have to say, Ronald, you're at the UN. Don't bring that shit up! Anyway, almost 3 minutes in and the movie starts movieing with this shot of an alien spaceship entering Earth's atmosphere. These military guys start shitting their pants.
Descending fast, it's maneuvering, we're registering impact!
So they need to call the only man for the job.
Get me Henry Burke. Now.
Now this might lead you to believe that this Henry Burke guy is uniquely specialized in the field of extraterrestrials, or is in any way exceptional. But he's not, like at all. Apart from his genuinely excellent mean mug and on-brand evil Disney dialogue.
It'd be so much easier to let you speak than to deal with all the paperwork involved with killing you.
It's really unclear what he knows or why he's in this position instead of literally anyone else. It really shows when even the guy he chose to be his literal right-hand man is some schmuck without a clue.
Hey, you think this is it? This is the real deal, right?
You'll learn.
What do you mean he'll learn? How did this guy get here? Anyway, we're then introduced to this Las Vegas cabbie called Jack Bruno, played by none other than the bad boy wrestler turned international movie star turned living meme, Dwayne the Croc Sock Rock Johnson. It's kind of weird having this buff-ass 6'5" Adonis playing a cab driver in Vegas, but he is a dick to random people and dogs.
This junkyard is not going with us.
So that sort of makes sense. And one of those random people is a season 2 Monica impersonator that's apparently an alien expert or something. But I really wouldn't worry about it because you don't see her again for like another hour. A bit later, Dwayne drives off and is startled by the unsettling discovery of 2 Aryan purebloods in the back of his cab, in what became a legendary moment in meme history. You remember these, right? Yeah, they sucked ass. Okay, this one's kind of funny. So these kids are supposed to be the aliens from the crashed ship, so they have them talk sort of funny and act sort of funny.
We require your transportation services immediately.
Well, I require...
Currency transaction.
Would this amount suffice?
But why? Why would they talk like this? They understand the concept of human money. They stole normal human clothes to blend in. They've clearly done their research on human behavior and culture. So why the f would they talk like they're on the Big Bang Theory?
How'd you get in the car?
Through that portal.
Meanwhile, Henry Burke, government alien man, zooms and enhances all over himself.
Fast forward, stop. Rewind, please.
And manages to find his targets in this cab out in the desert. So being the prudent and highly resourceful head of this top secret government organization, having its first legitimate encounter with extraterrestrials ever, he goes balls out and sends 3 black Escalades with no guns or extra tools of any kind so they can try and ram this taxi off the road, which they still somehow f up.
He is just a cab driver, right?
Yeah, I guess maybe he's a little better at driving than you expected, but did you forget about the f***ing aliens with superpowers? I love this scene in particular because I actually found footage of them trying to smash this car in real life, which I guess didn't go quite how they were expecting. So after escaping the 3 Escalade onslaught, the gang pulls up to some weird haunted house in the middle of the desert. They go inside and something happens that was so poorly filmed and visualized, I had to go frame by frame just to see it, and I still almost didn't understand what they were trying. What is that? Why does it look like it was made in 40 seconds with the MS Paint spray can? Anyway, Seth puts a gadget on this old refrigerator, which opens a secret entrance and reveals another secret entrance. You know, just in case you got past the first one and suffer a minor stroke. But then they open that secret entrance and the music swells and they pan across the room to show us... Am I supposed to know what any of this is? Because it feels like one of those psychological memes that say name one thing in this image. Anyway, the girl then sticks her arm into what can only be described as a pulsating horse vagina and removes another nondescript alien gadget. Before suddenly they're attacked by some Green Goblin cosplayer in one of the most confusing and incoherent action sequences I've ever seen in my life. Seriously, look at this. What the f is happening? Why is in this movie so hard to see? Were they afraid you'd notice it's bad? Anyway, they get in the cab and are engaged in a pursuit with a high-tech alien aircraft, which they of course easily survive, first by taking a laser missile right up the tailpipe, and then pushing the now mostly exploded taxi to 130 miles per hour. On train tracks, in a tunnel. Now understandably, Jack Bruno's a little shaken up at this point, and he needs some answers about what's going on. So they tell him, and he replies,
"You two want me to believe that you're both aliens?"
"This guy's one dense motherfucker. Dog, you saw these kids go into a remote desert shack with a secret underground basement filled with goose sacks they shoved their arms into, after which you were pursued by a robot piloting a literal flying saucer. What are you still skeptical about? Not to mention the fact they visibly used their powers several times in addition to making your car drive itself, which leads to the enormous elephant in the room of why they even needed this guy in the first place." But we'll get to that a bit later. Anyway, they drive off and find themselves in this classic southern diner where the feds then track them back down, but with the help of some bargain bin 4th of July sparklers, the gang manages to evade capture. So now that we're back on the road, let's just take a moment and recap their travels so far. They started in Vegas where he picked up the kids, they went to the desert to find the shack with the goose axe, and then found their way to the small town with the diner. We're now officially halfway through this movie, we're not racing anywhere in particular, and we don't even know what the Witch Mountain is. So with all that in mind, of course the next destination is back to Vegas, because there's still somehow more main characters to introduce, or reintroduce really. You remember this chick from the first 3 minutes of the movie? So what does Dr. Alex Friedman do in this movie exactly? Well, aside from the phenomenal display of thespian prowess,
I've always been a searcher for answers, though my folks would say I was merely a daydreamer.
there's two main reasons she's here. First, she serves as an excellent blank canvas for the aliens to dump copious exposition about what the is going on in this movie.
Planet extinction, light years, paradoxical atmosphere, planet experiment, regenerating experiment, planet.
We seriously need to find your spaceship.
And second, she navigates us to the guy that actually knows what and where Witch Mountain is. So basically, she's completely useless. So much so that both Dwayne and the guy interviewing him forgot she was even in the movie.
Thank you very much.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great. Easy. Thank you. Enjoyed it. Else then we're missing? Oh yeah, there is one. Carla, sure. We'll
So your character eventually.
Yeah.
But anyway, the children start explaining this entire load of bullshit about why they came to Earth and that their planet is dying. But none of it matters to the plot, even a little bit. The main point is that they needed to retrieve this thing from the shack because it has data on it. But like, what, they don't got Wi-Fi? But now that they have it, they need their ship so they can return back to their planet. But now that I think about it, why would they have ever even left their ship in the first place?
What the fuck?
But according to this guy, there's only one place their ship could be, and that's Witch Mountain.
Mountain. What, are we a singing group here? Let me talk and you guys know.
My bad. So they get back to the convention in a sequence that gives us the perfect opportunity to address one of the more funky elements of the story. There's a Spider-Man 3 amount of villains in this movie. The first squad is Beavis and Butthead here, which only show up twice in the whole film just to get their kicked in, and literally don't affect the plot in any substantive way. You could just cut these jackholes right out of the film and you know what would happen? You'd have a better movie. Then there's the alien assassin dude that shows up for half a second, gets yeeted, and disappears for another half hour, and then the feds show up only to be promptly defeated by some people standing up. 3 different antagonist groups all coalescing at the same exact time and place, and all of them having almost no impact on the situation. We then go on this little car chase where the cab tries anything and everything to evade capture, and just when you think it's all over, you find out, good try, Mr. Burke, it's actually that old dude from earlier.
Greetings, Earthlings.
What the fuck? So they arranged a deal with this guy they literally just met that neither knows what their mission is or that even real aliens are involved to not only engage federal agents in a car chase in which he commits several felonies, but also to just give them his RV? I guess he's not gonna need it because he's gonna be in prison. For a while. So anyway, our gang rolls down the highway in their freshly stolen motorhome, and before you know it, they're at their destination. Well, 5 miles out of their destination, because, you know, Witch Mountain is a highly classified government military compound that you can't just drive into. So instead they walk, which sounds equally stupid. In fact, during the montage of them hiking, there's a shot of a security camera very clearly watching them, and on top of that, they get caught immediately after approaching the entrance. The kids get captured, and for whatever reason, Dwayne and his gal pal aren't Swiss cheese on the spot, and it's at this point you start wondering what exactly their plan was other than walking up to an extremely surveilled government property in broad daylight. But ye have little faith, because after a little distraction from Dr. F, Dwayne is able to shove these guys around like he's browsing the racks at his favorite men's warehouse, and just like that, they're back in control. You realize now, they knew there was no feasible way for them to penetrate this government stronghold, a literal mountain. They knew they were being watched. They wanted them to see. They got themselves caught on purpose because it was the only way through. And then in the very next shot, they admit it was complete luck, and they really had no plan.
By the way, that slap, very realistic. When did you know?
fuck? Meanwhile, back inside the mountain, the science team begins their comprehensive examinations of the aliens.
Commence the procedure. Commence the test.
Initiating tests.
What tests? For what purpose? Do either of them have any clue? Why does this feel like a bit from The Office?
Jim, can I get a,
Commence the test.
Sir? Yeah. Okay.
What the hell is
Tests.
Back with Dwayne, him and the lady have found something akin to a sewage tunnel that seems to periodically erupt with beams of fire and also happens to lead directly to where they keep the aliens. It's just an open hole in the middle of the hallway and it shoots out fire. Anyway, the Fez are just about to start slicing and dicing when that alien assassin dude finally shows up again. A bit late, but we'll have to cut him some slack. Since his main whip exploded, he's presumably been relying on Greyhound bus tickets and the kindness of strangers to get around. In the meantime, Dwayne and co take this opportunity to bash the shit out of some nerds and rescue the kids. They then find the ship and get shot at in this really weird and shitty looking scene. Afterwards, they get the ship online and in the air. Which I guess is sort of weird, because I figured it'd be broken or something. Just before they're all done, they get into a little kerfuffle with the assassin guy, who turns out to be a real dickhead. You get it, right? Because his head looks like a penis. So they kill that guy, do a little crying, have this weird moment. Get a bit of Dwayne's winning smile, and they fly off into the distance. Hard to say what exactly he's smiling about though, given he's broken about 10,000 federal laws and royally f***ed over this guy who will now certainly make it his life's mission to stick them both in Guantanamo Bay for the rest of time. But keep on smiling, Jack. Keep on smiling. This movie has almost no impact, and you'll forget you saw it as soon as you get your next important notification. Oh shit. The main reason for this is in the title. The director takes the word race very much to heart.
We wanted to keep the energy and the race alive. Race getting there. The race was still on.
The end result of that being a movie with jacked up pacing where nothing ever slows down or has any weight because you're always moving on to the next scene. It also apparently means you gotta set half your movie in some mode of vehicular transportation. And that's not even counting the spaceship. The other issue is that the stakes of this movie are simultaneously way too large and also effectively non-existent. The overarching plot is quite literally an impending alien invasion to colonize our planet and eradicate all of humanity. But if you want to take a leak during the one scene they explained it, you never would have known. They literally don't bring it up again in the movie. And the one thing attached to that plot thread is this useless Green Goblin stormtrooper. In the older 70s movie this was based on, you know what the plot was? Drive a couple weird kids past a town full of violent rednecks. And you wouldn't believe how much better that is. The scale is way smaller and counterintuitively lets you relate to the situation way more. It's also not concerned about it feeling like a race the entire time.
The race.
So you actually have a chance to digest the situation and become invested in the characters. Another thing about the old movie is that these two kids have powers, but they're not that strong. So they have to be really smart with them to get out of sticky situations. They're also like 10 years old and can't read a map, so they need help from this adult with a car that yells at them.
The name's Jason. Jason, you understand?
I like the name Jason. We didn't mean to make you sad, Jason.
Makes sense, right? Well, in this movie, we have one teenager with the ability to read minds and has powerful telekinesis, and another one that can easily withstand bullets and head-on collisions with vehicles. What the f*** do they need The Rock for? Before they even meet him in the movie, they manage to successfully escape their crash ship in the desert, steal clothes from the trunk of a car, sneak onto a bus for a ride into town, and hack into an ATM and steal 15 grand. They're smarter than literally anyone else in the movie. But wait, you might say, they can't drive. Well, then they sure f***ing do it a lot. But if that's not good enough for you, you know what else they can drive? A spaceship. It's so obviously stupid, they even say that in the movie.
You have the ability to fly at the speed of light, yet you use a beat-up cab? I don't think so.
So it really gets you thinking. Why would they have ever even left the ship? They never say it was broken or out of power. And if it was, the government didn't fix it. They didn't even know how to turn it on.
Thank you. We were having a hard time figuring that part out.
So again, why would they leave the ship? Why wouldn't they just fly it directly where they need it and go back home? Why does any of this movie happen? And for the last time, why the f*** would they need Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? What the fuck?
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay.